here where we're going to take your calls on the Fancred app where you can call in, talk to me about whatever you want. We could mostly talk about the weekend survivor after the swap. I want to hear your questions about everything that's going on. Looking forward to getting into everything here with you today on the last Friday here in October. The way that you can do it is if you're watching us here live on YouTube, go to fancred.com. You get the app, and then on the app, you could just go ahead and hit the join the fan line button in the upper right-hand corner, and then we're going to patch you in, and then we'll be talking face-to-face about everything that's going on, whatever you want to dive into. You'll chat with our producer, Cam, for a second. He'll tell me when you're on the line, and we'll go ahead and get things fired up here on some Fancred Friday for about 40 minutes or so here on a Friday afternoon. And busy 24 hours for me yesterday. Started off like a normal Thursday, had my exit interview, talked with Tom Laidlaw. Seemed like a nice guy about everything that happened with him being voted out of the game. Then I talked to Coach, and Coach was shot out of a cannon, fired up Coach about why he does not like the Island of the Idols twist on this season. He told me about that and had a nice chat with Coach. And then in the afternoon, I was getting ready to record with Akiva, talk about some Leprechaun 2, and the power went out at my house at 1:30. So, okay, well, seems like isolated thing. Maybe be back on. Power was out the entire day. I was just like dead in the water. I ended up recording a podcast with Akiva using my phone and got half of a Leprechaun podcast in. Need to record a second half with Akiva still. Power came up about 2:30 in the morning at my house. Luckily, Nicole took the boys out for the night, and my younger son was sleeping by the time they came home, and my older son didn't freak out too much, but rough night all around with the waiting for the power to come back on because of the something having to do with the wildfires. I'm not sure if the wind knocked out the power cable or if they turned it off on purpose, but that's what's going on over here in my world. Getting ready for a feedback show also with Kellen Bechtold coming up this weekend. So if you want to get feedback questions in before Saturday, robhasawebsite.com/voicemail or 323-282-RHAP. Of course, hey, don't be shy. Get in on the fan line, because then people are always a little nervous to be like, I don't know if I want to be the first one. And then we may not get to you at the end if you wait too long. So, fortune favors the bold. Be like Nora, jump right in and don't hesitate. Hit the fan line to talk about what's going on. So interesting survivor swap this week where we have these two tribes where we have the new Vokai, where we have 4 and 4 going on. And that's the interesting tribe. It's like if we get to see that group go to tribal council, that's going to be the one that is going to be our main event. I'm concerned. I won't think we might never see that tribe go to tribal council. I think that tribe might just merge with that 4-4 group. And I think that we might be set up here for a couple of weeks of the new Lyro going to tribal councils. And we might be set up here for a Dean and Karishma, or Karishma and Dean, whatever order you want to do it, back to back here. I guess if you were going to see the back to back version of that, probably Dean and then Karishma. And if it happens that way, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that group says, hey, why don't we get rid of one of our own here before we, and let's keep Karishma around for the merge. I mean, I guess don't be surprised if that ends up happening, where that it's like, okay, well, everybody thinks it's going to be Karishma, and let's sneak attack Jamal here, or somebody who's not going to expect it coming, when it could be Karishma. But the other side is where things are, I think, are going to be more interesting to follow here after the swap, because you do have that 4-4 split. And, we're seeing already on one side where we saw Missy and Aaron talking about, like, well, I'm not going to Rocks here. So it'll be very interesting to see what goes on. It really painted Elaine to be the odd person out. Elizabeth is there also too, but I don't think we heard from her in the entire episode this week, so we don't really know where her head is at. I'm assuming that she's most loyal to Elaine, and we'll see if maybe Elaine and Elizabeth could potentially flip over to Vokai and then take out maybe the more threatening players in Missy and Aaron, just based on the physical fitness. Although Elizabeth is very strong in the water, but is not as I guess as Elizabeth is smaller than Aaron and Missy in terms of they look like they're going to be stronger than Elizabeth in any challenge that's not in the water. So we'll see how that goes. All right. You can also ask us questions here in the chat. Giovanni in the chat says, I think there's going to be a double tribal council. I don't think so. I think if there was going to be a double tribal council, I think we'd know about it for this week, just in terms of the previews, because typically the Survivor merge is going to come around 13, which right now we have 5 people out of the game, so that's 15. So if there was going to be a double tribal council, it would have to be this week, and we haven't gotten any sort of like a word either way about if it's going to be a double or not. And we'll see. Giovanni also says, "Oh no, the Leprechaun 2 podcast. That was the one I was looking forward to." No, we recorded the Leprechaun. We got that. So hopefully, we'll get the mailbag then on Saturday. Let's see. Odefe asks, "Did Coach undersell him as a strategist in your podcast with him?" Yeah. Coach has done that a little bit in some of my recent conversations with him. He has talked about how, hey, I don't know the strategy like you guys do. We're in Reno with him a couple of times, and he talked about it. Now, this is the same guy who seemed to have a good foothold on the strategy of the game back in South Pacific. It seemed like that he really knew what was going on at that point in time. So I don't know, maybe if he is playing possum a little bit in terms of what he's able to see in terms of the strategy of what's going on. Lawrence has just finished the Coach podcast. It was great. I did think that Coach was shot out of a cannon, whether you agree with him or not. He was very fired up, and that was, in terms of what I'm looking for in a podcast, I honestly, I don't care what the person has to say, good or bad, but I like that they come in with energy, and that's really what Coach did yesterday. That he had an opinion. I didn't agree with the opinion necessarily, but I loved how hard he came in to sell it. So I appreciate that. In terms of the worst you could be on a podcast is boring. Also, the worst you could be on one of these shows is also boring. But I'll leave that for other people to say who's boring. And Hot and Spicy says Double Tribal Council is on November 13th. Is that official? Is that Hot and Spicy seems to have breaking news if it's true, but that is not substantiated yet by anything that I'm seeing. Of course, the best way to get on here is hit that button for the fan line to jump on and talk here on Face to Face, so I could hear what you're saying. Hit the Fancred button, and the phone lines are open. And let's go ahead and talk about what you're seeing. Okay. Let's see. Elizabeth swims like a boss. That's what Savannah says. Fast, but her edit is lower in the show. So okay, so a lower edit for Elizabeth, according to Savannah. Let's see. Hope that it's working. I'm seeing some comments about the audio or in the video in YouTube, but it seems like that people are being able to get through it. Okay. November 13th, 2-hour show is maybe what Hot and Spicy is playing off. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's a real thing. November 13th, 2-hour show. I haven't seen that reported anywhere. I think that would be the merge if that is according to, if everything holds, where I think if we have 2 more votes here pre-merge, I think that could be the merge. Janny Penn says, I just wonder if the show is always kind of boring. I like the challenge aspect, but the rest seems like filler. So let me get this straight, that the challenges are good, but the rest of the show is filler. I've never heard that before. That's from Janny Pants, who's a new watcher to the show. Okay. Now I've heard that. I had not heard that opinion yet. GCP123 says, in the lead up to the season, didn't production say they wanted to surprise players a little bit more with swaps and merges? Seems pretty textbook so far. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that we haven't gotten the super early tribe swap where they do that after 2 votes, which they've done in some of the seasons in the 30s. But yeah, I mean, this has been pretty textbook in terms of 4 votes, then a swap, and then if we have 7 votes and then the merge, yeah, that would be exactly, according to the way that you would be drawing it up before the season starts. If you were going to branch steal this thing. But definitely, so where would you rank Island of the Idols as a season so far? Top 15 for me, to be honest. It's been great. It's way too early to rank the season. I mean, maybe you could rank it through 5 episodes, but there's so much that needs to play out. I feel like that overall, if I was going to be talking about the pre-merge, I think that you could mostly look at the seasons in 3 parts, where you have you have the pre-merge, and then sort of like the swap area, and then the post-merge game. And you could sort of lump in the pre-merge and the swap, just all things pre-merge. I think it's been fine. I don't think we've had a dud episode along the way. I mean, I think that there have definitely been seasons where the fans have been way more down on these seasons. Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers comes to mind in terms of shows that the fans are just out on from the jump. So I think it's been a fine pre-merge so far, and hopefully we have a lot of big characters moving forward into the post-merge. Okay. Zachary in Georgia is on the fan line. Let's go ahead and patch in Zachary and hear what he thinks about what's going on. Top 5 Wandoff season for sure. That's from GCP. Yes. It's been a good one. Zachary, how are you?
I've been worse. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Hanging in there. What's going on?
Trying to find an angle from which I don't look like a nightmare. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, do you have a selfie stick?
No, because I don't like to look at myself.
Yes. Seems like you have long arms then.
I wish. Okay, so Karishma. I kind of want to talk about Karishma and her position in the game, because it seems to me right now like nobody really likes her.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, what do you do when you're in that position? Because it seems to me like it is really hard, if not impossible, to win Survivor if nobody likes you.
Yeah.
If nobody likes you, what do? Do you just play for second place at that point, or do you try to make them like you?
Well, I think that should people start to like her, I think that she might get voted out. So I think that the best thing that she has going on right now is that people feel like, okay, she's an easy vote. Let's keep her. At the point where she starts to have a lot of social capital, then I think then she becomes a more enticing target to people. I do think that Karishma, it's very interesting that Sandra is out here as well, because I think that Karishma has really, been the person who is playing the Sandra role the best in this season. And so I think that what Karishma needs to do is really figure out a way to align herself with somebody who is the most unappealing person that's out there. And Sandra was able to do that with Johnny Fairplay or with Russell. I mean, ultimately Sandra with Lil also, but she had a great foil to bounce off of in both of her seasons. So should somebody emerge that really is an unlikable person on this season, it would be great if Karishma could really butt heads with that person. And so even if she does end up in the end as somebody who got really dragged along, then she could sort of really dress down the unlikable person in the finals and end up being sort of the opposition candidate to the person that everybody hates.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be a good idea if they were doing a final 2, but it seems a lot harder to do that in a final 3.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Sandra did it in the final 3 with Russell and Parvati.
That is true. So, I mean, you were talking about Karishma and Nora on Know-It-Alls, but I'm actually starting to think that might be her best case scenario, just to go to the end with Nora. Because I don't think Nora is unlikable, but I think Nora is a difficult person to respect in the game of Survivor. Because she is just so clueless. And Karishma, she's come off as a lot of things, but I don't think she's clueless.
Yeah, I agree that Steven and I were talking this through of who would win in the final 2. And while I do think that Nora is liked by people, like she's a nut, but she's our nut. You know, going back to my own season with Matthew, who was another person who was like an eccentric character, when he got to the final 2 and he talked about, you know, like his strategy and the way he played the game, I do think it was a turnoff for the jury. We're like, come on, you didn't stop. You didn't know about this. You didn't know what was going on. Don't act like you were doing all this stuff. And I do think that Nora has a very high opinion of herself. And if Nora got to the end and was like, I didn't have any idea what was going on the whole time. Like, I relied on all you guys to get me through it. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I feel like that Nora would like oversell what she's done in the game. And I think that could be, you know, a turn off for the jury. Whereas Karishma could talk about, you know, how she had to like fight tooth and nail to get there, and everybody counted her out, but she was able to, you know, persevere, and she could be, you know, show some fight. So I do think that Karishma would beat Nora in the end.
Yeah, I think likability is a big deal in Survivor, but I've always thought that more than just liking someone, you need to be able to respect them in order to vote for them at the end. You don't have to like someone in order to be able to respect them.
But I do think that the respect is there, but I also think that people, for the most part, I think it's hard to find the people that voted for a person they don't like.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Did people like Rich? I mean, well, that's way back in the day.
The people that voted for him, I think they liked him more than Kelly. Rich got 4 votes, so he got Rudy. He got Sue, who hated Kelly. Then he got Sean, and I think that, you know, Rich and Sean were closer together. And then he got Greg, and I don't think that Greg, you know, had any great love for Kelly. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Sure. Well, that's all I had.
Well, Zachary, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for getting the breaking the ice today.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. You're doing great.
You got it. Thank you so much. Take care, Zachary. Okay. And Zachary's in Georgia. Would love to get the podcast to Georgia at some point in the next year or so. All right. Aaron is on the fan line. Let's go ahead and patch in Aaron. Mark also wants to know, Rob, what's your prediction for the first move of the post-merge? It just seems like that right now, the way that the post-merge is making... how you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Here, I'm trying to answer Mark's question of
Go for it. I'm curious
the first move of the post-merge. It seems like in recent seasons that the person who gets voted out at the merge ends up being a person that everybody can just agree on. It seems like that the players are looking for the easiest vote, whereas for the long time, it was, okay, well, who's the big threat? Who's going to win challenges after the merge? Now it's just like, okay, well, there's a lot of uncertainty. What can we all just agree on? Who's the person that's the easy vote here? Let you know, everybody can agree. Okay, Chris Noble isn't long for this world. Let's vote him out. Or Elizabeth Olsen is getting on a lot of people's nerves. So let's all, you know, the Davids want to get rid of her. The Goliaths want to get rid of her. Let's go for.
Can I tack onto that?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
All right, I actually think it's going to be a combination of the obvious who can we all agree on and the biggest threat. Because as you said, I started thinking, it looks like Missy's getting an edit where she's like a huge threat. People are starting to see that she's kind of sketchy. So I wouldn't be surprised if Missy's the merge boot.
Yeah, I could see that potentially. That if Elaine comes back and tells you know, the other people that are from, I guess I don't know how many Leiros are going to be left at that point. You know, if Dean and Karishma end up not making it to the merge, it's really only going to be the 4 people from it seems like it would be like a race for Elaine and Elizabeth to sell out Aaron and Missy, and
Right.
then for the Lero or for the Vokai people to pick out whoever the biggest threat is going to be. So yeah, I think it's a dangerous game.
Well, what we really do see a lot in the merge is the people coming in from the majority usually take out one of their own there. We saw that in Token Sheet and Samoa, Ghost Island. It's like
Right.
It's very common. So I think
Yeah. Can I also add that I think that Aaron and Missy are being sold a bill of goods by Tommy, where Tommy, we saw him with Aaron talking about how like, hey, I got your back, you got my back. And so Tommy has so many plans, though, that for Tommy, I think going with Missy and with Aaron has got to be like plan X for him.
exactly,
like I think he has so many better options. At what point is he going to say, let me just screw over all of my Vokai allies and I'll go off with Missy and Aaron?
I think I mean, I don't know, plans change, everything changes on Star very quickly, but I think Tommy looks like a straight shooter in his strategy. So I feel like a very smart move for him, instead of going with Missy and Aaron, just playing it safe in the swap right now. But come the merge, if Jamal's still there, which he probably will be, that probably seems like the smartest move for him. He doesn't seem like an erratic player. Dangerous, but not erratic.
I think it's also hard to do what they're doing with Missy and Aaron, to be sort of like physical threats and be like, hey, we're gonna, Orange is dead, we're throwing our lot in with Purple, where it's like, I feel like, okay, Donathan and Laurel could be, all right, we're not going to be, voting with the Malolo people, and we'll sort of be, be jumping on with Dominic and Wendell, but nobody's really paying attention to them. I think that people that are big physical presences, I just don't think you ever forget about those people.
Right. Well, but it's a very physical cast, though.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this might be the first time we ever see a tribe completely decimated. I mean, not the first time, but like in this way, because usually like in the merge or in the swap, things like, get a little like, you kind of switch on the majority. But wouldn't it be interesting if what's the orange tribe again?
Lyro.
And that is not the one without the numbers, right?
Yeah, Lyro's down to 5 original, or 4. They're down to 6.
That'd be so interesting. Maybe boring or predictable, unless the editors like to throw us.
Mm-hmm.
The editors like to throw us off. What if I can't remember the names. The numbers, the ones with the 5, completely decimated in the swap, and then we're just left with a merge of Purple.
So a Survivor Palau-esque, basically, that we just sort of like.
Was before the merge, though. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we've had similar scenarios where, like, a Survivor Samoa, I forget what the merge was there, if it was like 8-4, I think, at the merge in that season.
No, but the 4, the 3 of the 4 demolished the rest, though, the majority. I'm saying the swap of that. I'm saying like completely decimating the minority, which is boring, but we don't see that a lot.
We almost got it in Ghost Island. You had basically where Donathan and Laurel were able to ride it out and then be with all the people from Navidi. And yeah, I think we could be, up for something like that. At some point, then the bigger group starts to take their focus off of, weeding out the people that were from the the other side, and then starts to look at their own. In Survivor Caramoan also, that there was a point where it was the favorites were beating up on the fans, and then they got to the merge, and then they started like going after some of their own. So we'll see. It doesn't make for necessarily a boring second half to have it be primarily all people from one tribe, but I'm worried it could be a couple of boring votes here.
Right. Well, if it's easy to predict like it seems, but my question I actually called about is about predictability in this season. I don't know what we're learning from this season, because if you look at the elimination of every single episode, it would be a huge shot in the dark to predict after the end of the following episode who goes out. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of insane. Like, am I wrong how do you feel about this? Like, this is like crazy. It's so hard to predict. Like, if I'm predicting next week, I might as well just say Janet because she seems like the safest. And
Yeah,
you know,
that's interesting. Yeah, it has been very unpredictable in terms of the boot from week to week. Yeah, is it random or are they hiding important information from us? That's going to be interesting to be able. I mean, but I would think that this week it's got to be either Dean or Karishma.
they showed us in the preview that Nora doesn't want to be like, the crazy swing. Like Nora knows how she's perceived. So I want Nora to flip. So it may be that. Like that.
Yeah, but flip to where?
I don't know. Yeah, the numbers are not in her favor.
5-2 now at that point. So, and I don't think that Karishma and Dean are on the same page.
Well, okay. Well, Kelly and Dean are. So
yes.
Kelly, Dean, Nora. Let's see if they could drag in a couple more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have a fracture there. Now, I think what might be interesting if Dean or Karishma ends up on the Island of the Idols this week, that might be something that, shakes up the snow globe a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, let me try to find myself here. What I'm trying to say. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, I came to the live know-it-alls in New York and I asked a question. I kind of stumbled over my words.
Mm-hmm.
So this I kind of want to have like a little redemption moment and ask you that question again because it is kind of relevant here.
Yes.
All right. So
which one is that at the movie theater?
At the movie theater. Heroes, Heroes, Hustlers.
Yes.
So that was the episode that Jessica went home. If I recall, your winner's pick. Mm-hmm. And so by the way, if I ever get on, please do not put me as your winner pick. I don't think you're gonna, but please don't.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay. So I asked if the editors are trying to make it more interesting by throwing us off by having them talk about other targets more than the actual target going home. And in the pattern of that season, I actually saw that becoming more predictable. And I feel like and that's why I mentioned, I don't know if you remember, the Michaela vote from Millennials Gen X, where they slightly mentioned Michaela, but nobody went into that tribal watching at home really sure it was going to be Michaela. No one, it was just a blip. They just mentioned it. And I'm wondering if now, like last week, they mentioned Chelsea for a second, also my winner's pick. So maybe I'm also to blame here also.
Yeah.
But they briefly mentioned it. And then I was like, there you go. I think that I wouldn't be surprised.
So you feel like you can see the code in the Matrix where that they're that they show you just enough to make you think possibility, and then that ends up being the person who goes home. I guess it's sort of like a lot of these procedural crime shows like a CSI where that's the person who did it. They don't go over the top. They sort of lead you down the husband definitely did it. The husband definitely did it. The husband definitely did it. It was oh wait, the dog walker was there, wasn't it? Yeah, and then it was the dog walker. It was the dog walker that did it.
I think that I actually thought that this could became such a frequent thing that both yesterday and last week I'm like, okay, now they're trying to throw us off because maybe people have been catching on and it's going to be Karishma and they don't want to have a boring episode. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to throw us off by bringing her up a lot. But no, that's not the case. By the way, I agree with you. I think Nora wins in a final two of Karishma and Nora. I think she's...
No, I came back around. I said Karishma, I think, would win now.
Oh, when did you change that?
15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was talking to your producer. Well, maybe you said for a second. Maybe you said that when I was getting connected. Yeah. How awesome would that be if Nora won?
It would be very fun.
I'm just all right. Before I go, can I do a small little plug?
Sure.
All right. I have a Survivor meme page called Tribal Memes. So it's _tribal memes _. So
on what?
Thank you. Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be important to say.
Okay. So say it one more time. It's _.
Tribal memes _.
Tribal memes _ Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Check out Aaron's memes on Instagram. Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for talking to me, Rob, and see you.
Okay. Bye. All right, we got the fan line, I believe, is open. If you want to come on and talk about what's going on, yeah. Liv says they're just trying to prevent Edgic. That's the issue, and so I do think that the editors, like, in like conversations that I've had with producers and editors, they get very annoyed when you talk about like winner edit. There's no such thing, that you can't tell what's going to happen based on the edit. And so I do think that they do try to combat that as much as they can. Of course, if you want to get on, we've still got some a little bit of time left. If you want to click on the Fancred button in the upper right-hand corner, that's how you could do it. Get on the show and talk about whatever you want to get into from this season of Survivor, past seasons of Survivor, you name it. We can talk about it here today over on the fan line. If you click the button on the Fancred app, okay? All right. Then let's see what else. Mika says Nora not giving a crap comes across often like she's not very smart. Sure, she's done some dumb things, but I think she's going to grow on people. Look, she's growing on me. She's growing on me. Nora is the best. Okay. Aaron says, if you don't like the people on, then don't watch. It's simple. Okay. There you go. All right. Neymar says, Rob, do you think that Sandra and Rob will have a major role in the final tribal council? That's a good question. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know if they're going to be some sort of like moderators or if they could have a vote at the final tribal council, but I definitely think that they'll incorporate them somehow in terms of what's going on. Ethan is in Atlanta. Let's go ahead and patch in Ethan, another caller from Georgia here today. So we're really hitting Georgia hard in this episode. All right, let's bring on Ethan.
Hello, hey Rob.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
So I haven't listened to the Coach podcast yet, so I don't know if you discussed this, but from my impression of the Tom exit interview, it seemed to me a bit like he thought that Janet was kind of threatened by the fact that him and Janet were playing the same kind of game of a loyal, like being loyal to the tribe, basically. Do you think there's any validity in this, and like that, like in general, and also in this case, that if you think somebody's playing the same kind of role as you, that even if it may not necessarily be a good move to vote them out in the moment, that you may be more tempted to, and that people would act this way?
So are you saying that Janet felt threatened by Tom because he was playing a similar game?
Yeah, I felt like Tom was kind of giving off that vibe in his exit interview. I don't know if he actually meant that, but it seemed to me like he was kind of implying that.
Yeah, I think that Janet was able to say, like, okay, this guy is probably playing a similar game to me, and I know I wouldn't flip on my group. So if I was in his shoes, I would say whatever I needed to say to get through these votes. But then when push came to shove, I would get back with my original group. So I think that Janet was able to like correctly suss out that, hey, this guy's never going to work with us. We might as well get rid of him. Maybe we have a shot with Dean and Karishma, going our way or voting against the old group. But this guy's never going to flip. And so I don't think it was so much that Janet was threatened by that. I think it was just that she sort of was able to get a good read on him. And maybe for Tom, I think that he might have felt a little betrayed in that he might have thought that him and Janet had a connection, and maybe like they bonded out there, like, hey, we're mom and dad out here, like it's us and all these kids. And he might have just felt like that they had a genuine connection, and she turned around and then ended up betraying him. So he probably felt like he had an in with Janet, and then it turned out that she sized him up and said, okay, we got to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably true.
Okay.
Thanks.
Ethan, anything else going
on? Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, Ethan, thank you for the call. Nice to talk to you. Okay. There's Ethan in Atlanta. I think, did we have another person that was on the fan line? I thought I saw Henry in Ontario. My buddy Henry. Let's get him on the fan line. If you want to go ahead and jump in, hit that fan line button. Yes, Henry, how are you?
Rob.
How's it going?
Good. I'm home for a reading week from college. So I have a lot more
Reading
time.
week. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. What's going on, Henry?
So based on the preview for the next episode, it looks like there is a strong chance Vokai will go to tribal council.
That's
do
a
you think
dangerous game to play.
Yeah, well, if they do, and it looks like there could actually be a rock drop, what do you think Jamal will do with his idol? Will he play for someone else, himself just to save himself, or maybe just hang on to it and hope he survives?
Okay. Now correct me if I'm wrong. So Jamal, so you think that Vokai is going to tribal council? Now I thought Jamal is on the tribe with Dean and Karishma. No.
No, I don't think so. I thought he
Can
was
we
on
get
Vokai.
Yeah, I have to go off. I thought that the people that are on there, because I feel like that wasn't Jamal talking with Dean and with Tom about with the fitting in with that group and how Karishma was bad at the challenges.
Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I feel like I remember Jamal talking with those guys in the episode about what they were going to do.
Yeah, I know the 5 originals are Dean, Jack, Janet, Kelly, and I think Nora.
Well, Dean is an original from Lero.
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe that 5th is Jamal then.
Yeah, and then Karishma and Dean are the other 2 that are left. Yeah. Ethan in the chat says Jamal is with Dean and Tom. Yeah. So Kelly still has an idol also as well. So I don't think that Jamal would have reason to play his idol unless for some reason he felt like, okay, Dean is my guy. I got to save Dean. And then everybody's going to vote out Dean. And Jamal says, okay, I'm going to play my idol on Dean tonight. And then he's got Dean in his pocket. And then he can go ahead and, go over and work with, if Dean's like, hey, I've got Aaron and Missy also. Meanwhile, that if they're talking with Tommy, but there's just too many people that I think that Tommy was sort of sketched out by Jamal. Aaron had wanted to vote out Dean in the past. So it's hard to really see where this, insurgency is coming from.
Yeah. When Kelly and Dean found out that they have a mutual friend,
yes.
How do you think production found out when they realized they failed to recognize that when casting them?
I would have to, really examine where they, what their mutual friend connection is. And I would guess, we had this on Big Brother this past season, this person knew this person, this person knew this person. I bet that this was a connection that was realized when they went through casting and not something that was on the island that they just happened to in the first 5 minutes of talking, like, oh, you happen to know this random person? Like, I also happen to know this random person. So I think that there seems to be more to this story than what we just saw, like why this random story would come up just like on the first day they meet.
Yeah, hopefully it means that they stick around for a while.
Do you want Dean and Kelly to stick around for a while?
Yeah, because I've already lost 2 people from my fantasy pool. I had Chelsea and Tom because he was the first Canadian. Yeah. So I need them to stick around.
First Canadian out, too.
Yep. that really sucked.
What are you going to do? There'll be more. There'll be more Canadians.
Yep. I can switch out one of my players for another this week, but I can't switch out Chelsea and Tom because they're already out.
Mm-hmm.
So I might switch Dean for Tommy.
Dean for Tommy. I would make that switch. If you can sub out Dean for Tommy, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because it looks like Tommy's got more potential in this game.
He's got a lot of outs, Tommy. It's he's really set up well where if you look at like the different people that he's potentially working with, He's got a lot of different directions he can go. And I really do think that Survivor is all about just giving yourself options and contingency plans. And yeah, you don't know which way you're going to go. It's not like that it's day 9 and I know exactly what my path is to day 39, but you want to be there, on day, I guess it's like day 15 or so with like, okay, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And then based on what the circumstances are, be able to, pick the best path. Options.
Yeah. Do you think Tommy's getting a winner's edit?
I think that if you were going to, go down that rabbit hole and start to assign winners, I think he would be one of the best right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And I wouldn't say that Dean is getting a strong winner edit.
No, he's getting a I'm struggling to stay alive edit.
Yeah. So if you can switch those two, yeah, I would do it. All right, Henry, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay. Let's go back. Believe it or not, guess where? Georgia. Catherine in Georgia is on the line. Let's go ahead and patch her in. Catherine, are you there? Go talk to Catherine. Catherine, yes. How are you?
Good. This is my first time doing the Fancred.
Okay. Well, Catherine, don't be nervous. We got you. And happy to have you here to talk about Survivor. What's going on?
I have Missy as my winner.
Okay. How are you feeling? You feel good?
Missy is, to me, doing good.
Yeah.
And I also had another question.
Yes.
Why did they so much hype up the next season before they even broadcasted this current one?
I don't think they hyped it up. Other people are hyping it up. So that CBS has done no hyping of the next season. People are just too excited. People can't.
Because you see a lot of it out already.
I know, but it wasn't that's all the things got leaked from other sources. It's not that CBS is trying to get anybody excited. It's just that, rumors circulate and people are excited about what might be to come. But it's not because that CBS is trying to hype up a season before season 39 is coming.
Oh, I thought it was because of so much out. I thought it was CBS doing.
I know there's a lot of hype, but it wasn't CBS. It's just all the other people that get a hold of different information and they want to start. People are excited, and it's hard to keep that kind of stuff under your hat. But it's not CBS. CBS would like you to very much concentrate on season 39.
Ron Clark that was
on
season 38.
Yes.
I had the movie.
Oh, you watched the movie. Have you been to Ron Clark's Academy in Georgia?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that Ron is a friend of mine. I talked to him on the podcast recently, and so I'm hoping that we can get out and see you guys soon. Okay. All right. Catherine, thank you very much for the call, and I appreciate it. And good luck with Missy, your winner pick. And hopefully not too much hype for next season to be able to enjoy this season. How are we doing, Cam? Do we got anybody else on the next call on the fan line? Let's go ahead and try to see if we can get if somebody else wants to jump on real quick. We can get one more call in, I think, this afternoon as we're talking through everything that's going on Survivor. Vatja says, I bet on Tommy to win, and I'd like to win for once against my friend. Okay, sure thing. I'll cross my fingers for you. Let's see. Brian says, I watched all 5 episodes, but I binged 4 in a day. Always interested to know how this holds up on the binge. Let's see. This is from Hishworth. Are the idols that are currently in the game only usable for the next 2 tribals? So just to do a little bit of an idol reset, Jamal has an idol. That's a normal idol that can be used for I think, throughout the entirety of the game. Chelsea had a normal idol, but she's out of the game, so that one is gone. I forget how long Vince's idol would have lasted for. I think it was for 2 tribal councils, but that's also out of the game. Kelly's idol is, I think she can use it through 1 more tribal council. She could use it this week if she wants to. Kelly also may be a candidate to potentially save Dean if the votes were going his way. Ignis says, I honestly think that Dean could blow up Kelly's game if she would try to keep him as her resume merge blindside boot. Last episode really seemed edited on that pair. Yeah, it did seem like that we were setting up Kelly and Dean. That might be an interesting move for Kelly, where if it's going to be Dean at this next vote, if she gave Dean her idol and said, hey, Dean, look, write down Karishma, write down Jamal, or, write somebody that she might want to get rid of. And then they put their votes on Dean, and then Dean ends up writing down the name. It'd be the perfect crime if you wrote down Kelly to be able to, take somebody out. That might be a really interesting big move to have happen. Okay. All right. If anybody else wants to get on the fan line, speak now or hold your question for another time. Okay. We'll go ahead and then I guess start to wrap things up. Let's see. Lauren Peterson is talking about Shannon Gates. I'm a huge Shannon stan. Her new podcast was so amazing. Shannon's knowledge of all iterations of Survivor was so impressive. Must be the Biostrath. Yes, absolutely. Now, please. First off, Lauren, I reject the notion that Shannon Gates is using performance-enhancing drugs to improve her podcasting. That is a defamatory statement, and I reject that. She is not on any performance-enhancing drugs. Brian Altschul, who will the Mets hire as manager? Oops, sorry, wrong chat. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Carlos Beltran. I don't know. Yeah. Liv H said, did you catch the IMDb host implying that you were 50 years old the other day? Yeah, I think that, yeah, Liv, I did catch that. I believe Ian, who was the host of the show, I think said that that it was 30 years ago that I played Survivor, and I think he meant to say 30 seasons ago. I would be older if I played Survivor 30 years ago. 2 seasons a year. Okay. Lauren says she did take Biostrath on a podcast. Can't deny. Yes, but I don't believe that's what she uses to improve her podcasting skills. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out another Fancred Friday, and hope you guys enjoy stuff like this. It's fun for me to do it, and please check out the rest of what's going on. Rob has a podcast proper where I will be back with Kellen Bechtold this weekend on our feedback show. Also have a Facebook Friday coming up later on today for our patrons, so be on the lookout for that in our Rob's Podcast patron Facebook group. If you want to find out more about that, head on over to robswebsite.com/patron. Then we got the Wiggle Room coming up on Monday, in addition to the podcasts that are already up with Coach, my exit interview with Tom, the Survivor Know-It-Alls, and then Taryn and the LFC dropped a bunch of podcasts, LFC Roundtable, wrapping up Big Brother 21. Taryn has interviews with Mickey and with Holly Macbeth, 2 different interviews with them. And Taryn and Brent are talking about the new season of Sequester as well. That's all up at robhasawebsite.com. Thank you guys, Fancred, so much for putting this together. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.